Imagine you wake up one morning, step outside, and instead of feeling the warm rays of the sun, it's cold. Not just winter morning cold. Not just I forgot my jacket cold. No, the entire world is freezing because somehow, overnight, the sun has transformed into a giant ice cube, which raises a few important questions. First, how? And second, what happens next? Well, let's find out. Okay, before we even get into what happens, let's address the elephant in the room. How on earth did the sun become an ice cube in the first place? The sun is a 27 million degree ball of nuclear fusion, constantly burning hydrogen and keeping our solar system alive. Turning that into an ice cube? Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. For one, ice is literally frozen water, and water can't exist in the sun because, well, it's just too hot. If you somehow dumped an ocean into the sun, the water would vaporize instantly, splitting into hydrogen and oxygen. Then the hydrogen would just become more fuel for nuclear fusion. So, to turn the sun into an ice cube, we'd have to get rid of the fusion, all of it. That means somehow shutting down the entire star, turning off all the heat, and replacing 99.9% of its mass with frozen water. Basically, it would take a physics-breaking cosmic miracle to make this happen. But hey, let's just say it did. The sun is now a frozen, lifeless ice cube. What happens next? First things first, the light goes out. Right now, sunlight takes about 8 minutes to reach Earth. That means for the first 8 minutes after the sun turns to ice, everything seems normal. Birds are chirping. The sky is blue. No one has any idea that their cosmic heat lamp has just become a giant frozen popsicle. But then darkness. The sun stops shining. The sky turns black. The moon disappears because it only shines by reflecting sunlight. And suddenly, the Earth is drifting through the void, completely alone. Which brings us to the next big problem. Without the sun's heat, Earth is about to get really, really cold fast. Within a few hours, temperatures plummet below freezing. Within a day or two, the average surface temperature drops to -100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -73 degrees Celsius. The oceans start freezing from the top down. Within a week, we're looking at a full-blown planetary ice age. The surface is so cold that surviving outside for more than a few minutes is impossible. And within a year, Earth's temperature stabilizes at -400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -240 degrees Celsius. That's colder than Pluto. The entire atmosphere freezes and falls as snow, covering the planet in a thick layer of nitrogen ice. At this point, Earth is basically just another frozen moon, drifting through space, lifeless. But wait, there's something even worse. See, the sun isn't just a giant light bulb. It's also the gravitational anchor of the entire solar system. Every planet, every asteroid, every comet, all of it is held in orbit by the sun's immense gravity. But here's the problem. The sun is really heavy, about 330,000 times the mass of Earth. Turning it into an ice cube would mean getting rid of 99.9% of its mass. And if that happens, well, Earth and every other planet immediately flies off into deep space. We are no longer in orbit. We're not going around the sun anymore because the sun, as we knew it, doesn't exist. Instead, Earth is now a rogue planet, drifting endlessly through the freezing void. Okay, so at this point, things are looking pretty bad. The Earth is frozen solid. The sun is an ice cube. We're hurtling through space with no destination. But is there any chance of survival? Actually, maybe. Even though the surface is completely unlivable, there are still a few places where heat might stick around. Deep underground, the Earth's core is still molten, and that heat won't go away instantly. If humans could build deep underground cities, we might survive for a while using geothermal energy. Deep in the ocean, the bottom of the ocean has geothermal vents that release heat. Some deep-sea life could survive off that energy, at least until the oceans completely freeze. Nuclear power. If we built massive, self-sustaining underground bunkers powered by nuclear energy, we might eke out an existence for a few generations at least. But long-term, the outlook is grim. At the end of the day, the sun turning into an ice cube is basically the worst thing that could happen to our solar system. The planets would scatter into space. Earth would freeze solid. all life as we know it would end. And even if some humans did survive in underground bunkers, it would only be a matter of time before resources ran out. Without sunlight, there's no photosynthesis, meaning no plants, no oxygen production, and no real way to sustain long-term life. So yeah, not great. Well, first of all, let's not turn the sun into an ice cube. That's probably a bad idea. Second, we now know just how utterly dependent we are on our sun. Not just for heat and light, but for gravity, weather, ecosystems, and survival itself. And finally, maybe next time, instead of imagining the sun as an ice cube, we should just appreciate the fact that it's a giant, life-giving ball of fire that, hopefully, isn't going anywhere anytime soon. If you enjoyed this wild thought experiment, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into absurd science. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.